lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Rufino's on Highland Road. Welcome to Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments. Friday edition, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro, Jordan Kitchens from Holy Cross, producing the show back in the studio.
Everybody's favorite Holy Cross Tiger, Charlie.
Well, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but he's my favorite Holy Cross Tiger.
Well, just say mine.
My favorite Holy Cross Tiger,
there
Jordan
you go.
Kitchens, back in the studio. Along with my favorite Shaw Eagle, Jimmy Ott, right? Right. Yeah.
But you see, Jordan is a little swanky. You know, he didn't go to Holy Cross, was in a parish, baby. He went when they moved kind of, uptown.
Okay.
Not uptown literally, but more like the Bayou area, the let's just say in a higher rent district.
Post Katrina.
A higher rent district.
Okay, yeah. They improved the facility.
Yes.
That's good.
Youngin.
It's all about improving the facility.
I don't know if he has
been
enough
for a while.
salt. Yeah, he's from the West Bank, so you have enough saltiness to go to the parish. Too.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good to hear.
Does the Holomeo know anything about the parish?
Holomeo had some interesting posts last night during the Thursday night game. Of course, he's always got interesting posts. He's never. I can't do it like he does. It just
really, Charlie.
Dan Campbell. Okay,
do what you do. Let me do what he does.
Let's just say Dan Campbell's decisions had him chirping. Everybody
last night.
Well, yeah, just and not necessarily critical. Just like look at the onions, and I think that's what everybody was. Look at the
there's onions and there's stupidity too. Mm-hmm. I mean, would you call it onions? I sat with you during a conference championship game. Was that onions?
No, because it didn't benefit me. It was stupid.
No, you thought it played a part in costing the game. May have cost them the game.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
What about last night? Did it help them 4 or 5 on fourth downs?
Okay, if
4 and 1, right? 4
right.
or 5. Max, you're included. Oh, get in here, robot.
Yeah, bring the robot. Let me just say, I would have punted from the 30-yard line, and I would have kicked the field goal when he went for it the last time, if I was doing it. But
how about Charlie?
The
one he didn't get, Max, he wouldn't have done.
From the 30-yard line?
Wow.
But the one they got, I wouldn't have done that one either. The fourth, I would have kicked the field goal.
There's several that he got that led to touchdowns.
Okay, the last 2, I wouldn't have done either. I'm just being honest. One of them worked and one of them didn't.
So 43 seconds. Mm-hmm. They kick it. Let's say 39. Okay. Max, what is the percentage that with no timeouts, 39 seconds from the third? We're just going to have to say because they were kicking touchbacks all night.
Touchback.
They were kicking touchbacks all night. Okay, let's just for argument's sake, 30-yard line. What's the percentage that Green Bay with no timeouts kicks a field goal?
There's no actual number, but we can guess.
This is how you factor it in, right? It's you think you have a better chance,
correct,
of converting the fourth down than they do. I mean, am I missing something?
The Packers failed to punt or failed to score once in the second half. They were moving the ball, so you got to take that into account for
game
sure.
Flow. Yes, yes, it was an offensive game.
If they had gone for it.
Max, step A.
Let's say,
dude,
60.
60.
60%,
Charlie
70%.
said 40 to 50. I said 50.
I'd say above 50 in my opinion.
I said 50.
McManus is long on the year is 51. I'd give him in indoors. I'd probably give him another 4 to 5 yards.
We're all in the same range.
55-yard field goal, you got to get to about the 37, 38-yard line. That's where you got to go. So you're talking about 20. You're talking about 37 yards.
Just give me a number. We all know this.
I already gave him a number.
40 to 50.
Yeah.
He gives a range. Max gives 60. I give 50. Charlie gives
40.
50. Sure, no 30 to 70. Is that already taken?
Move on.
So, what was the percentage that you thought on 4th and 1 that they were going to convert?
They did just get stopped on that 3rd and short. but it wasn't the longest one, 4th and 1. So I'd say
it was a full yard.
I'd
He
have
lost
said
yardage on 3rd down.
75-80% is what I said live.
Well, that's higher. So you go for it.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, Charlie? 4th and 1.
It was higher than the 40% I gave you, probably 60%.
So you go for it.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have.
Why? Well, that doesn't equate.
Because, well, you also have to take in the possibility you missed a field goal.
Well, no. You can miss a field goal from either distance. That's minimal. You move it closer 5 yards. Okay?
Right. I'm saying that at that point in the game, I'm going to take the lead. Okay, I can miss on the 4th down. I could miss a field goal, so I'm going to kick. I'm going to take one of those things out of the equation. I'm going to kick the field goal. I understand why he went for it.
You don't think it's just it's pretty simple to that? I mean, you think it's a higher percentage to convert than there is for them to come down and kick a field goal. I mean, but here's the thing where. Okay, what did analytics say? Robot. They didn't flash up the ESPN analytics. So what's Amazon? Huh? I guess Amazon doesn't have their analytics.
They actually have an analytics broadcast, their own separate broadcast.
What did they say?
I did not see anything from Amazon.
You didn't see? I mean, they love to show analytics say. Well, guess what analytics doesn't say? So, Detroit. Charlie, who's the best tackle in football?
Trent Williams and Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell. Well, who makes more money, the left tackle or the right tackle?
The left tackle.
Why is he playing right tackle?
Because that's where they slotted him in when he got there, and they just haven't moved him yet.
Because that's where they run behind.
Well, they could run behind. They could put him on the left side and run behind him over there.
But they like the way they run behind, and that's where they had. And Charlie, I'll say this: it's a pretty high percentage that any three of us could have got that yard. Did you see the blocking?
Yeah.
The execution, him falling to a knee to hand off, that only slowed it down. How much? I don't know. It wasn't by design. And he got like 5-6 yards. I mean, they were going behind Penei Sewell. They blew a block on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Guy came clean. Okay? Let's not let this happen. So they're going heavy to that side. And they're going behind their guy. They're all pro. They're future Hall of Famer. And they're not moving him because they love to run behind him.
And on the previous 4th and 1, they had run left, and he got stacked up for a loss. And they ran it wide, which I thought was
No, they ran right. They ran right.
No, when they missed, they ran left. He changed quarters in between the first one and the second one.
The one they missed, it was left?
Yeah, they went left.
They
went left. They were going the other way. They were going the other direction. Because the next drive is when they flip sides.
I remember it different.
Okay. Well, he got stacked up. He got stacked up.
Well, you ran a toss sweep,
which I thought was a crazy call. I mean, go for it, fine, but on 4th and 1, I don't want to string it out for him.
I field position would have dictated that for me. I mean, this should play a part as well. I'd have kicked the ball, but the game flow was offensive.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's where, and like Max makes a good point all the time too. Well, no, Detroit has to have their own analytics. They can't go by the ESPN analytics, but the television broadcast, who they take time and prepare for this stuff and have and say analytics say, well, who has a right tackle like Penei Sewell? Who has a running game like the Detroit Lions?
And he's established that culture. He can't stop now. For Garden Variety coach.
He could have punted from his own 30.
He could have punted from his own 30, but yes, from his own 30 he could have. But all of these ones that are 50-50, 40% for me, 50 for you, 60 for Max, he's going.
But Charlie, they aren't, and I understand some of that, but there's a point of recklessness. You should grow. You should evolve as a coach. And there's not a coach out there that says, 5 years later, I'm worse than I was 5 years ago. So, I mean, if he doesn't learn, I live with a coach. They go to sleep second-guessing themselves. Did I do this right? Did I do that? And every step of the job, not just 4th downs, every step. Did I suspend my best player for a game? Was that the right thing to do? I mean, everything is second-guessed. This is the nature of it. And I'm sorry, but that was a little bit on the reckless side in the conference championship game.
I thought it was way on the reckless side. I thought it was on the reckless side from the 30-yard line last night. But this is who he is.
I know, but okay, it's who he is. But he's not going to grow. He's not going to improve. He's not going to perfect.
He's not going to change.
No. He's. You don't think that was the right calls on all those? You needed every point you got. They're getting less points if he doesn't go for it on fourth down. Max, I don't know how much, but a chunk of points that led to touchdowns instead of kicking field goals or punts.
But did not the 30-yard line, when he went for it from the 30-yard line, he sets the Packers up short field. That cost him 7 points.
Yes, yes, but not all of it. You say he's just going. Well, every situation, it should weigh into it. And if he's not second-guessing himself or second thinking about it, say, was that the right move, guys? I mean, you're just not growing.
I don't think I don't think he thinks like that on the fourth downs. Maybe the rest of the stuff, he does toss and turn at night. I don't think this guy gives it a second thought on fourth and short. I think he's going for it.
It's part of what he's tried to establish, and he's been that style or that aggression.
Yeah.
Has been fundamental, has been key to trying to turn this loser organization around. But you could still perfect it.
You could, and
I mean,
and maybe
he wants to lean on the aggressive side,
and maybe he will, but he hasn't yet. And you talked about this loser mentality in Detroit that's been there
never been to Super Bowl
forever. Okay,
but he may have cost him a Super Bowl.
He probably would not have made it if he'd have gone to a more established franchise and started out the first 2 years that he did. If he'd have gone to Baltimore or San Francisco or Green Bay, probably wouldn't have made it. But in Detroit, they needed a kick in the seat. We have got to. We have been doing this for 100 years in Detroit, and we hadn't won since Bobby Lane was the quarterback. So yeah, we're gonna. We need somebody like this. Probably wouldn't have worked everywhere else. It worked here.
4th and goal from the 2, they score a touchdown. 4th and goal from the 3, they scored a touchdown that drive. 4th and 1 from not even midfield, they ended up scoring a touchdown on that same drive on one of the 4th and goals. So if you're going to call him out for the 4th and 1 at his own 30, I mean, the other 4th down conversions worked very well for them and won them the game. I think the problem is 4th and 1's analytics actually tells you should basically go for it every time. I know field position matters, but a chance with your offense on a 4th and 1, it's just worth going for. And it didn't work out in one instance, but it worked out on the other times.
Panay Sewell, man. I'm gonna go down with him too, bro. Even at the high school level, I think it was Jesuit and Catholic. And Catholic, okay, we're running behind Emory Jones every time. You know what I mean? Use your horse. I mean, this guy is. When have they had a right tackle, a blocking tackle that you could run by? I mean, that's what they do. We think about, they scoring a lot. No, they are a run. How many times I said that offensive line is the MVP? That unit is the MVP of the league.
Yeah, you said
that is a. I mean, just going behind them. I mean, it just that they're 4th and 1. I can live with going behind Panay Sewell every time.
Would you rather trust Panay Sewell in that offense, or would you rather trust the defense to make a stop who is in tatters? I mean, banged up completely.
No. Game flow. What is the situation? No, that defense, and not only that, but late in the game, the defense was getting more and more confused, suspect. It's 2 games in a row now. Detroit defense did a good job to start the game. I mean, Chicago was like 3 and out first 3 times. Packers were struggling to start the ball. But at the end, and defenses wear down as well. No, they weren't. My 50% might be a little light.
That's the best case for it. The offense is such a strength of this team with so many different. You got 2 backs that are both 1,000-yard backs. You had 6 different guys catch at least 5 balls last night. That's never been done before. So you are so diverse. Goff threw 1 really bad pass last night. Other than that,
it's the first game they won with him throwing 40 attempts, huh?
I think it's
only second game of the year where he's had 40 attempts, and that was against Tampa Bay.
He had gone 9 games where he had only thrown an interception in one of them. Now, in the one he threw 5 interceptions. That was that crazy game.
The coordinator's going to get a job this year, huh?
He turned down multiple jobs last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
but,
so, yes, if he wants one, yeah.
So, you saw what he did when Goff threw the pick? which was big, which was really that made it a 50 because Detroit was still a score ahead. Green Bay scores, okay, still got the lead. But when he throws the pick and they punch it in, then it's, okay, who's going to have the ball last kind of deal. You saw what he did after?
No.
Very, very safe underneath, but I'm not going to let him get on this track again with the 5 straight. What did I do different? I mean, what are we talking about? Just getting him safe, like I got but letting him shoot a couple of free throws, letting him shoot a couple of layups to see the ball go through the hoop, to get back more in his rhythm. Because that was a critical interception, and man, boom, boom, 2 like little underneath passes, but wanted to get him back on track. I thought that was that impressed me. To say, hey, no, we can't just run the ball because you got the best running game in the league. It's easy to do that, but I got to get my guy straight again.
Most
throws I'm going to need him.
Most throws for Goff in a win this year. 41, first time.
Yeah. We're over here at Ruffino's today. Stuffed Meliton. It's spelled Merliton. Oh, no. Emily Huguet next door, my grandma. Oh, that's stuffed Meliton. Now, she said thunder, too, when it's lightning and thundering. But
did she wash everything off in the zinc?
Yes.
My grandmother washed everything in the zinc.
It was beautiful, man. She was a character. She loved her football pools, too.
Nice.
Yes.
It's one of the way you learned all this from.
Oh, and then she used to always say, this is the best. So she was such a character. But she'd say, oh, that stupid those Cubs. What's wrong with that Harry Cat? What's wrong with his glasses? Oh, Emily, she's the best. But with stuffed Meliton over here, the creamy Louisiana crab and shrimp stuffing with Italian cheese and breadcrumbs. The filet tips. Boy, we got some great appetizers today. Crispy filet tips with the grilled onion aioli. The entree features today and all throughout the weekend. Fish Oscar, fresh grilled grouper, jumbo lump crab meat, béarnaise sauce, asparagus. Suggested wine pairing is the Frank Family Chardonnay out of Napa. So steak feature this weekend is a 12-ounce filet mignon, the cremini mushrooms, the Marcella demi-glace, and a fettuccine Alfredo. Suggested wine pairing is a Turnbull Cabernet from Napa. In our dessert feature all weekend, popcorn semifreddo. Okay, sweet corn semifreddo, warm Nutella ganache, toasted hazelnuts, and buttery popcorn. Do we know what semifreddo is? I don't know.
Let's order it and find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
I
But
like
we're in the spirit of the holiday season. We got, what are these called right here? Little
decorations.
Max, what are these called?
They're stars.
The stars?
Exploding stars?
Stars. We get the lights over here, and we got the tree. Every year, EJ and Christmas Eve dinner would take a picture in the tree and see how he would just pass me up, Charlie, over the years. Do you think I've caught up with him this year?
No.
Okay.
No.
Right.
He's a little taller than you, vertically superior.
I found out at the store from his roommate's mother that he had field level passes for the Iron Bowl. Last I knew, he didn't have a ticket.
Didn't invite
so anyway,
you, did he?
good communication skills. What do you say when we have communication breakdowns at Guarantee?
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
No, we're in the industry of communication, but boy, we struggle at it.
Sometimes we do. Live at Ruffino's, Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Let's go out to San Diego. Chris Massero with his 5-packet each and every week. Chris, how was your Thanksgiving, brother?
Thanksgiving was great. Everything's good. Full belly.
I asked you this last
belly.
week. I'd remember now. Now, geez, I'm all over the place, Chris.
It's okay though. We had a week to 10 days worth of leftovers because, as I mentioned to you before, we do the Italian Thanksgiving plus the turkey. So there's leftover meatballs. There's leftover lasagna. There's even 6 large pieces of frozen lasagna for a day down the road when you're not even expecting it. So
yes, very nice. Who's the best cook in your family?
Well, my mom. You got to give the accolades to my mom, but she taught her son very well. So I'm able to replicate most of the recipes and keeps my dad happy when he comes out to visit.
Very good, very good. What'd you think about the game last night, man?
Oh, awesome game. I think Dan Campbell is a complete lunatic. But, I mean, if you're a Lions fan, you kind of have to love it. I mean, the guy went for it on every single fourth down. I was on Green Bay plus 3.5, so I got the money. I did put in a bet before the game for Green Bay to win the Super Bowl at 16-1, figuring even if they lost, the odds wouldn't change that much, and they haven't. They went to 18-1, and I was hoping that if they got the victory, they might have moved up in the seeding, and maybe that odds gets knocked down to 10-1. But I'm not hating that bet, even though they lost. But heck of a game, very entertaining. I mean, you just got to hand it to Dan Campbell. I'm not sure if he's a good coach or just a complete lunatic, but they're the number one seed, and if you're a Lions fan, you got to love it.
The front office has done a good job by drafting well, and they've been criticized on draft day or draft night. At times, taking this guy, they could have had him later, whatever. But they're producing. Their hit rate is pretty good on their high draft.
A lot of Bama boys.
Well, what you got to do, what you have to do also is, it's a loser organization. I mean, he's trying to give it some fight, and he is. One thing about it, when have the Detroit Lions dictated what's going on in the game? So win, lose, or draw. I mean, and listen, the other thing is game flow is an offensive game, and they are still an offensive-oriented team, and certainly last night. And guess what? Field goals, we're not going to win the game last night. Now, everybody wants to be result-oriented and, field position, which is fair. You go for it at your own 30, but especially in the second half. That was in the second half, and that defense was done in the second. Max, they scored every possession in the second half, Green Bay?
They punted once.
They did punt once. They did. I think that was the one they punted. Before Detroit failed on the fourth down. That was the one time they punted, and they gave it right back on.
Yeah, I'm out at Circa again, and they posted a 26.5 second half, and I ran to the window, and it was gone. It was 27 by the time I got there, but I mean that still was a pretty simple handicap. As you could tell, both defenses came out a little bit fired up, especially Detroit's in the first quarter, and you could tell by the end of the second quarter they were out of gas, and it was definitely going to be a shootout in the second half.
All right, the American Tulane laid an egg, laid a turkey, Thanksgiving night, whatever you want, and before they knew it, they got sloppy early, and they dug themselves too big of a hole where they couldn't get out of against Memphis, which is, Memphis was the team we were talking about before the season as maybe a group of 5 candidate to get into the playoff, and Tulane was in position maybe with the UNLV upset in Boise. Now they go to West Point. Great setting. Been there, man. You want to. Even the history of that place is unreal. The sharp turn, Charlie, in the Hudson River that allowed the British forces just to go so slow. They were easy picking, pop, picking them off on the way. So West Point is the setting. The line's going down here, Chris. You got the wave, -4.5.
Yeah, listen, everyone's saying Tulane laid an egg last week, and they might have. They lost the game. They lost by 10. They didn't cover. They were big favorites, yada, yada. But they had 2 40-plus yard passes. One early in the second quarter, in the third quarter, 40-yard completion to Brown, where he catches the ball and immediately fumbles inside the 10-yard line. Then later on in the game, they had a 55-yard pass to Williams, the same exact thing. He catches it and he fumbles the ball. So that's two possessions. They're in the red zone where they were moving the ball. They were probably going to score touchdowns there. I don't really think Memphis stopped them. I mean, Tulane kind of just stopped themselves. And this is more of against Army play. I've been against them the last few weeks. Their best win is maybe East Carolina. Last week versus UTSA, this Luke McCown's kid, I don't know if he was just drunk or shaving points. He was throwing up innocent. I mean, they weren't even close. I mean, these were Kirk Cousins type of passes. And their coach did a fake punt. Talk about Dan Campbell's crazy. The UTSA coach did a fake punt from his own 15-yard line. So UTSA, they should have won that game. Army, sneaks by with a 5-point win. And the week before they had 2 weeks before they had that Houdini versus North Texas. And in the middle of that, they got throttled by Notre Dame. Tulane is a far superior team offensively, and they faced the option a bunch of times over the last couple of years. The coach has, so they shut down Navy. I really think Tulane, unless this coach is just checked out and he's going to another school, I think Tulane should be able to put up a lot of points versus Army, and I don't see Army catching up against Tulane's pretty decent defense.
Yeah, talking about Bryson Daly, the Army quarterback, Charlie. Last 3 games, 102 rushes. 102 rushes, 34 a game. So, yeah, I think he's healthy. 439 on the ground, 6 TDs. Let's move quickly, Chris. Let's go to Clemson and SMU. We could talk more about if SMU or Bama, but I think they hit with the handwriting on the wall. They're going to put Bama in. But SMU is moving here. It's now at 2.5. You like Clemson?
Yeah, I like Clemson. I know, big deal. They lost to the hottest team in the country, South Carolina, where if you compared South Carolina and Alabama, I know Alabama beat them. It was at Alabama. I think South Carolina has more impressive wins, but that's neither here nor there. I think Clemson is going to be able to run the ball. They average 190 on the ground. And this SMU team, everyone is just talking about how great they are. Who have they beat? They were life and death to beat Boston College 2 weeks ago, where we had BC plus the double digits. And I think Clemson is a similar team to BC, a big offensive line. They're going to try to run the ball. I like that Klubnik's a little bit mobile. I just feel like everyone's talking about, if SMU loses, SMU loses. I think that's going to get into the head. All the pressure is on SMU. And what a crazy situation. You have SMU, who's currently the 3 seed based on the committee in the bye. They could go from a bye to completely out of it. Same with the Boise situation. So they're going to do a little tweak into this playoff. You can't have teams you're getting the bye, and then if you lose your conference championship, you're not even in the thing. It just doesn't make much sense. But I'm taking Clemson plus the points. They've been there before. They have the experience. They got the big uglies on both sides of the offensive and defensive line, and I think Clemson is going to run a lot on them, and I think they're going to grind out a win.
Yeah, my money's on they'll tweak the seeding next year. Imagine that. The playoff committee and the playoff creators lacked a little vision there. Oregon and Penn State. Oregon 3.5 over Penn State. Big game, James, huh? Well, is it a big game? Both teams are in regardless of what happens in the playoff. It was like James Franklin created the 12-team playoff. They would have been in the playoff with 12 teams. They beat whoever they're supposed to, but they have no wins as well. But Oregon, minus 3.5 here, Chris.
Yeah, they were saying the get-in price for this game is like $10 because no one's traveling to it because they're both already in the playoff. $10. So it's like, why are we even having this game? Another situation where Oregon, the number 1 seed, undefeated all year, if they lose this game, they could be hosting Alabama in the first round. I mean, what a crazy scenario. You go undefeated, you beat everyone you're supposed to beat, and then you got to go kind of into Penn State's neck of the woods. But I think Oregon has too much for Penn State. Penn State's best win was USC, a game they were trailing by 14 in the second half, and they needed overtime to pull out. They should have lost the game. I think Oregon just got too much on offense. Penn State just hasn't impressed me all year. I'm not an Aller fan. The defense has been okay, but against teams that can actually move the ball, it hasn't been that great. I think indoors, fast track, I think Oregon might be too much for Penn State here.
All right, Chris, about 30, 45 seconds apiece here. We're up against it. Georgia, Texas, total you're looking at 50.
Yeah, I'm going under. I don't know what these two teams are going to keep showing. They've already played each other once. There's probably, Texas is definitely in. I can't see them kicking Georgia out with a loss. So I'm not sure how much they want to show. The first game, Georgia only had 283 yards against Texas. Texas only 259 versus Georgia, only 29 on the ground, 7 turnovers. I can just see them kind of going through the motions in this game, not showing much because they might have to face each other again. So I'm just going to go for a low-scoring game. I would have been on Georgia, but that 7-8 overtime game is going to take a lot out of them. So I can't be going with Georgia again. I liked Georgia the first time they played, but I'm going to go with the under here.
Boise was favored by 4 the first time, but that was in Las Vegas. They won by 5. Now they're on the Smurf turf, but they're kind of limping to the finish line a little bit, unimpressive, but on their Smurf turf at home, 4.5 over UNLV.
Yeah, everyone's saying Boise's limping in. I mean, who has UNLV beat since they played Boise? They beat Hawaii by 2, SDSU, San Diego State, everyone beats them, San Jose State, and Nevada. So it's not like UNLV went and beat Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. So I don't understand the spread. The spread was Boise by 4 at UNLV. Now it's 4.5 at home. It's going to be the first cold game UNLV's played all year. The quarterback said to this goofy stuff. He didn't know where Boise was on a map. Well, you're going to know, kid, when you get there. So I just think Boise. I don't understand the line. I think Boise gets the job done. There's another team. If they lose, they're in the bye. They're not going to be in the playoffs, which is unbelievable. So,
thank you, Chris.
I'm going to go with Boise. I don't like betting favorites, but I think Boise gets the job done on the blue turf.
I'm on Boise as well. Thank you, Chris. We'll talk to you next week. Good luck to you this weekend, buddy.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. Talk to you guys later.
All right, don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all of you real estate closings. 296-0060, full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get when you call 296-0060. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt. Our great team wants to wish you happy holidays from Legacy Title.
Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
All right, Troy is with us. It's conference championship week, so it's a condensed schedule. You got a lot more and a lot of high-profile games, so a lot more of the equal action. So the 80% club, that's out the window. But, Troy, looking at your notes, spread tickets, okay? They're 3 games, 63% or higher. Arizona State, 63% of the spread tickets. SMU, 64% of the tickets. But the most public team at Bet Rivers, the Oregon Ducks, right at 70% of the tickets against big game James, Charlie.
You're looking anything like Worthy.
Wild, right? 81% of the money is on Oregon to cover as well. It's the only one 80% or above. Oregon to cover is the most wagered on play of Saturday. 19% of all the money we've taken on Saturday college football is on Oregon to cover. You tack on an additional 11% of money is on Oregon to win. So right now, over a quarter of all the Saturday money is on Oregon. Heavy, money and tickets coming in on the Ducks against a very good Penn State team that really hasn't been tested. The one time they were tested, they didn't perform well. Not very dynamic offense. But the interesting thing for me is all this action hasn't really moved the line at all. Because I think, Penn State, very good defense, will come to play. But I would have figured with this much money and tickets coming in early and often, that we would have seen this number move up a little bit, but it stayed somewhere between 3 and 3.5 this entire week.
Yeah, that is funny. I would have thought it would have gotten past, and we may see that tomorrow also. But yeah, Oregon. How do you think about that game? I mean, is this a big game, or is this one where I just feel
I think a bye is a big deal. Yes, having to play one less game, is a big deal.
Yeah, well, that's what's on the line, a bye in the playoffs. But I just also, Franklin, they're in, but the difference between a bye and getting into the playoff as opposed to get into playoff or not.
No, it's not as big a deal as that. I'll grant you, but
and I think that the less of the stakes and him a chance to pounce on something that is quite as stressful. I think he'll have his team ready. We'll see. What do you think, Troy?
One thing, especially now with the playoff and some teams already being in, and there's kind of been this devaluation of the conference championship game, and I totally understand that because the value point isn't there as much as it has been in the past. But if we look at the people playing the game, and having been a college athlete myself, championship games matter. It's very hard to win a national championship, and just making the playoff is no guarantee you're going to win a national championship. A conference championship is something you live with forever. You are a conference champion. I do think that matters, even though to the media and the pundits and everyone, it doesn't matter as far as, a lot of movement for the playoff. But I don't think the players are going to be taking, this game less because they know they're already in to the college football playoff. This is a championship game, and I think, this is what every player dreams of. So I don't, unless, there's personnel difference with the coaches decide, hey, we don't, rest versus playing out. But I don't think there's going to be a decline in effort or energy from the players simply because these teams are already in the playoffs.
I agree from the effort standpoint, the conference championship. But let me give you two scenarios. Would you rather have a bye and play the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State, or play Arizona State in the first week and go to Boise and play Boise in a neutral site the second?
You want to be 5.
5, 5 under that scenario,
That's
which is
Notre Dame.
No, that's the difference between Oregon and Penn State. If Oregon, assuming Penn State,
Notre Dame's going to get the 5.
Okay, that's not how it went the last time. But okay. Then
well,
would you rather?
Wait, whoever loses is going to fall behind. Or if Oregon loses, you think they're still ahead of a Notre Dame?
Yes,
that's the 5.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
yeah.
I'm with you there. Okay.
All right. So maybe not Penn State, but under the bracket they put out the other day, it would have been Penn State playing Arizona State with the winner to play Boise State, Oregon getting the bye and getting the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State. Which one do you want?
I know, but they're putting up those brackets based on what it's now. But the games to be played, you know how that goes. But Penn State is Notre Dame. Oregon is the only team that could survive a loss. Texas can't survive a loss and finish ahead of Notre Dame.
No,
you think so?
No,
Oregon is the team, right?
They can't.
Is there a chance they fall behind Notre Dame?
I guess, but probably not. Given the
undefeated during the regular season, don't penalize
plus
them.
The one loss,
yeah.
And you got to win against Ohio State. So no, the point is, would you rather play the 12th seed and then play Boise?
No. The 5 has been. We've talked about this for all year. So, you want the 5 is a great spot.
Yeah.
No, because the weakest, a champion, conference champion, and then
you do have to play an extra game, but it's at home.
But you'll be.
I don't know. I'm of the position that I want to beat number 1 team in the country, Oregon, and win my conference, one of the 2 best conferences in the country. I want to win that championship. And then, yes, from if you're sitting up atop the ship looking out at the horizon, certainly the being in the 5 spot more advantageous. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking about this differently now that we're in a championship week, and it's it's different than like a college basketball tournament or conference tournament, where this seems more like a championship of the regular season and not a different tournament. Where I would say I want to be the best team in the country, and I'll take my chances with whoever we get in the playoffs. But I want to be a champion.
All right, Troy. 70% teams in the NFL. We're looking at Saints, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Miami. So those are the public teams at Bet Rivers for NFL. Am I missing anything?
You are. You're missing one. You're missing the second most popular spread play. It's at 73% of the tickets. It's also the most wagered on, or the strongest spread play by money at 84%. And that's the Eagles, which I believe that number has actually moved to minus 13 against the Panthers. This morning it was at 12.5. It's been at 12.5 throughout the week. And this is an interesting one for me because we talked about this on Monday. The Panthers are playing better. They are really fighting hard. Bryce Young is coming along very well. This team has not given up. They certainly do not have the talent to compete with the Eagles for the win, but they covered 4 in a row. Certainly, they're going to Philadelphia. It's going to be brutal weather this weekend. It is freezing up here in the Mid-Atlantic. 12.5 or 13 points is a lot of points. I lean towards Carolina covering, fading the public here, even though the Eagles are playing exceptional, or right now are probably the second best team in football next to the Lions. So it's very interesting that so much money is coming on the Eagles, perhaps betting against the Carolina team we think we know, even though the last 4 weeks have been vastly different for the Panthers.
All right, Troy, UFC, you got anything for us this weekend? Big card.
Yes, I do. So in the co-main event, there's a fascinating matchup. It's not been deemed a title eliminator, but it's essentially the winner should be able to fight for the title. It's been between 2 undefeated fighters, Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's Mongolian, who was born and raised in Kazakhstan, and Ian Gary, who's a very high-profile Irish fighter who's a lot like Conor McGregor with the swagger and the charisma, but also his fighting style. It's very loose. It's very wide open. They're both undefeated. Shavkat Rakhmonov is now minus 420 on the money line. I can't recommend just betting straight up on the money line, but Rakhmonov has had 18 career fights, never seen the judge's decision. He's finished every one of his fights, and he's not just fighting PE teachers or tomato cans anymore. His last 4 fights in the UFC, he's fought top contenders, really legitimate fighters, and he's starched everyone. This guy has sledgehammers for fists. He finished, and his vice grip of a choke is just ruthless. Ian Gary, really talented fighter, but I think Shavkat Rakhmonov runs through him. So, there's a lot of different ways to play this. You could just take Rakhmonov to win via TKO, knockout, or submission, which is around minus 135. I actually like Rakhmonov to win parlayed with under 4.5 rounds. That'll get you minus 125, or Rakhmonov to win and under 3.5 rounds. They'll get you plus 110. I wish I could take it under 4 rounds. I'd like to buy the last the last 2 minutes of that third round, but it's going to be a really fascinating fight. You don't see undefeated fighters fight very often at the top of the food chain. And Rakhmonov he's not as wrestling centric as a lot of the other top fighters from that region. He is a sledgehammer, a jackhammer. He's big, hulking. He doesn't have to throw heavy-handed shots to put you out. So I'm really fascinated by this fight. I think he is the real deal. I don't see how anyone beats him. I think there are about 3 guys in the world who can contend with him. So, I have a lot of action on him with some parlays, but then also I like him at under 4.5 rounds and to win, which should be a sensational fight that could go a couple different ways because Gary is very talented, and this is not as much about his weaknesses as it is about the guy he's fighting.
Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macher. That's Machir. Troy, good luck this weekend. We'll recap it all on Monday. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
At Lofton Staffing Services, we match hard workers with the most sought-after employers. So Lofton, you're more than just another employee. We care about your interests, and we'll match you with a company that needs your skills. You can complete an application. You can schedule an interview. You can even browse jobs at Lofton.jobs. Lofton also offers an unlimited $100 referral bonus. Lofton Staffing Services, we've been putting people to work since 1979. 924-0200 and Lofton.jobs.
Live at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Friday night games tonight, in addition to Tulane Army and UNLV Boise, the CUSA Championship, Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State. That's the first game at 6 o'clock. I do believe it was Kenny White yesterday had Jacksonville State. That line has moved just a little bit, minus 4.5. Rich Rod, West Virginia rumors. Can you go home again?
Oh.
Yeah.
They moved on Neil Brown?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
Thought he escaped last year with the solid year, but right back at it. Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher's name getting kicked around up there a bunch too, and
sure.
But Rich Rod, that was where he had his most success at West Virginia.
No, without question.
And so, I don't know. Can you go home again?
Yeah. He's certainly. What was Mac Brown when he went back to Chapel Hill? I mean, Rich Rod's got, he's left, I mean.
He's done a nice job at Jacksonville State.
Well, he did a great job at Arizona, too. Got them to win a BCS Bowl. I mean, shoot, that's hard to do there.
You're right.
I think that'll happen.
They're a 4.5-point favorite tonight. Bruce Marshall with us when we come back. Clock of the Week Friday here at Rufino's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Rufino's Live at Lunch. Come on, see us for the holiday season. Beautifully decorated here. Lots of atmosphere. Come on over. Catch us for lunch. Stuffed mirliton on the menu today, along with the filet tips, the fish Oscar, and the filet mignon. Your steak feature this weekend here at Rufino's. Bring in Bruce Marshall as we get ready for championship weekend. Bruce, good afternoon. How are you?
Well, I'm okay, except I'm a little disappointed in myself because I usually only take great joy like when the Lakers lose or the Dodgers lose. But I took real pleasure in watching Ohio State lose last week. Not as much Ohio State, but I think it was just seeing Ryan Day suffer, but it's hard to tell when he's suffering because even when he should be happy, he looks like he just saw the Hindenburg go down. So it's hard to tell. But the way, I mean, his reaction, the world ending, and he's so tortured. Tom Crean sort of has that same, like, it's so tortured, everything's so tortured. And something good, I mean, they've got even with the Baltimore Orioles payroll, they couldn't beat Michigan last week. So there was something felt good about watching. And I usually don't feel good about Michigan winning, but something made me feel really good watching that last week.
It was something, and I think it was Will Howard. It was the lack of a confidence in him. You think it was a game management situation? I mean, this Michigan team should not be able to compete with Ohio State, and it was. I mean, you go in there and beat Ohio State, and you throw for 63 yards. I mean, come on, man. So. And look, I mean, hey, look, Auburn, Alabama, that game means too much. We've seen Auburn, give contract extensions when their coach wins and then set them up for paying coaches. Nobody pays more coaches not to coach than they do at Auburn. But, no, it was but the game itself, the game management, it was a Howard deal. It goes back to where you should have kept the guy and reaped the benefits of play him in his first year when he could be an experienced, more seasoned quarterback his second?
Could be, Jimmy. I mean, and we've talked about this earlier in the season. I was never convinced that Howard was that much of an upgrade from McCord. I mean, Howard's good, and he was good at Kansas State. He's got some mobility, he can throw, but I mean, this wasn't a massive upgrade, I thought, at quarterback. Not the way Ryan Day made it seem. And he was so quick to get McCord out of there. I mean, right after the Michigan game last year. I mean, he's told him he didn't want him back. They went out and got Howard. I don't know that was that big of an upgrade. And frankly, I wonder about Chip Kelly. I mean, I know Day's in love with them because their roots go back to New Hampshire, but. Chips might be past his sell-by date from being a really cutting-edge play caller, and his better offenses, at Oregon usually had quarterbacks who could move more than Howard. Howard can move a little bit, but not the way some of Oregon's quarterbacks did when they were really flying decades ago. So I don't know that the whole thing is they really upgraded like they thought from last year.
I don't think Howard was the guy they wanted. I think they moved on from McCord thinking that they were going to get Cam Ward. And when that didn't happen, they were kind of stuck. I think Ward was option number one, and it didn't work out.
Well, still, McCord would have been better. I'm sorry. Because in
Cam Ward?
No, than Howard.
Yeah, I
don't know how Cam Ward would have.
No, I'm saying I think they had moved on.
I understand what you're saying, but you still risk.
Yeah, you do.
I mean,
there's no doubt.
I think and McCord with not even close to the supporting cast put up pretty good numbers at Syracuse. Not even close. Those two receivers from Ohio State with the continuity to work in the offseason. But, hey, look, we've seen college football programs overreact to losing to their rivals for a time, a 2, 3 in a row, whatever it is. All right, Brucey, let's get to the picks. Let's start off in West Point. You've been to West Point, huh, Bruce?
Yes, I have.
Boy, it's beautiful. Huh? Isn't it cool?
Yes.
I mean, it is. It is a great setting for college football, for a campus period. But here comes the Greenies in. This is the only game where the road team is the favorite in this one when they are not at neutral sites for championship week. It's at 4.5 right now, the Greenies, after their egg laying on Thanksgiving night against Memphis.
Yeah, all that's true, Jimmy. And fortunately, it's night tonight, so they're not going to get those great views you get up there from the second deck at Michie Stadium, and it's really breathtaking, like you said. They're actually working on the other side of the field, the stands there, so the stadium's doing some construction. Anyway, you're right, laid egg, and that because of when that happened, how it happened, it bothered me a bit from Tulane. Not just that that they played badly, but. Listen, we have all seen this in recent years when teams at the end of the season get a little distracted. And yes. Tulane, the players have ears there. They got people talking to them. They know Summerall there's going to be contact. He's going to have a chance to say no. Jimmy Sexton's his agent. I mean, he might be moving on, and the portal is there. I've heard Mensah's name mentioned. If he wanted to go in the portal, he's going to have chances. So maybe some distractions are coming into Tulane. That was not the normal Tulane we saw last week. However, I still think what we saw from this season in Tulane 3 weeks ago at Navy, similar, not the same option as Army. They have some wing T in their elements with Navy, but it's pretty similar. I mean, they shut Navy down completely, and they were playing so well for 2 months into last week. I got to believe if they can get a lead tonight, make Army play from behind. Jimmy, you and Charlie both mentioned this last week about Daly, that he's taken a lot of punishment. He's had, I think, 65 carries the last 2 weeks out of the option.
102 the last three.
102 the last three. And he is, I mean, that's a lot of punishment. I mean, that would have been a lot of punishment for Jim Brown to take. I mean, much less a quarterback at Army here. And look, Army's schedule this year, it's a great storyline, but what's their best win? Is it East Carolina before they fired Mike Houston? Is it North Texas? They don't really have a great win. Tulane, I just think, has a class edge here. And if the Tulane from most of the season shows up, they will win and cover this number tonight. If the Tulane from the Memphis game shows up, I'm a little less certain, but I'm going to bank on the real Tulane. And John Summerall, 28-12 against the number the past 3 years, Tulane and Troy. That's pretty good resume there.
Hullabaloo. The Greenies tonight minus the 4.5. Talking about distractions. Rich Rod. Charlie just talked about it. Maybe going back to Morgantown, West Virginia. Jacksonville State with nothing to play for. These two teams played last week. Jacksonville State was already in. This game was at Bowling Green at Western Kentucky. Now it's in Alabama at Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State's 4 here, but their starting quarterback, and it was a 50-yard field goal at the end to give Western Kentucky the 1 or 2 point win that they needed. But Jacksonville State's quarterback now maybe questionable for this one tomorrow. 4 are the Roosters at home here, Jacksonville State.
Yeah, and Huff went limping off the field, really favoring that ankle last week. And now the backup Smothers has started there before. He started about 5 games last year. He played a little bit at Nebraska before that, so, I mean, they don't come in completely cold with a quarterback who's never taken any snaps. But Huff was a guy, this guy ran for over 1,000 yards this year. He really made that, the run-pass option, the option part of that, the run part of the quarterback for Rich Rod really work. So Smothers is a bit of a downgrade. We'll see what happens there tonight. I would mention, too, we've heard that rumor about Rich Rod in West Virginia. Tyson Helton's name has been out there, too. And he's a Jimmy Sexton guy. I've told you I could see him plopping down somewhere too after this year. Both these coaches, I'll predict at least one of them will not coach the bowl game because both these teams are playing in bowls somewhere. But tonight, my first thought here is maybe an under because that game was 19-17 last week. Last year the game was 20-17. The total is up there close to 60 tonight. Now, I saw 58.5 here just a few minutes ago. It's going to be kind of cold in Alabama tonight for this game. Huff, we're not sure about his status. I would also point out, for whatever it's worth, Western Kentucky down the stretch here, the offense has sort of run out of gas. They're putting up big numbers for most of the year, last 3 weeks, under 16 points per game. Veldkamp is a very capable quarterback, but 58.5 looks way too high for me, especially with questions about Jacksonville State's quarterback. So I think under is my first call here. And even though it's a back-to-back thing, and a lot of people seem to think, okay, they'll reverse the tide this week, the result, Jacksonville State side, I'm not sure. I kind of favor Western a little bit, but I think under is my first call tonight in the CUSA title.
34 degrees at kickoff, by the way, in Jacksonville.
Well, wow. All right, UNLV, Boise State. Yeah, it's so chilly down here right now, Bruce. Boise State, it'll be chilly there on the Smurf turf. Boise was 4-point favorites in Vegas earlier, won by 5. Now they're back flipping to the Smurf turf in Boise, 4.5 now against the Rebels.
Yeah, it's crept up just a wee bit here. In Boise, I mean, winter is in. Boise wins are probably going to get a bye. UNLV wins, they'll be the 12 seed. So who would have thought that, by the way, back in before the season, some of these teams like UNLV and Arizona State and Indiana, might get into the SMU, get in the playoff.
Just remind Lane Kiffin. He's pleased with everything.
Remind the quarterback that transferred out of UNLV for no money.
Yes.
I can't remember his name.
Well, that was Sluka, and it turned out, Hajj Malik Williams turned out to be a better fit. And a lot of people had thought that from the start of the season. So he came in there really good. I will mention this about Boise. We mentioned it a second ago about Western Kentucky, kind of slowing down here late in the season. Listen, Boise, I think they're running out of steam a little bit here. And talk about a guy taking a lot of punishment. Genty, he's continued to put up numbers, but man, first of all, the last 3 games, they struggled with Nevada on the blue turf. They really struggled with Wyoming, which wasn't playing too bad at the end of the year. That's a game Boise could have lost very easily. And last week they couldn't cover against Oregon State on the turf. Genty, the game against Wyoming, he was banged up. They had to kind of drag him off the bench, getting treatment, and he gutted it out and had a big run to help them out to win the game. But, he has taken a season's worth of pounding. Barry Odom has a great record as a dog and on the road for UNLV. By the way, Odom's name is coming up for some jobs too, so keep that in mind. But UNLV did not look like a distracted team against the Wolfpack last week. I wouldn't be surprised if UNLV won this game tonight. And I'm going to take take the running Rebels tonight plus the points up there on the blue turf.
All right, let's move along. Saturday, Arizona State and Iowa State. This thing's ticked down a little bit now at -1 over Iowa State in Jerry World. Nothing says the Big 12 championship like Arizona State and Iowa State.
There you go. You're right, Jimmy. Who would have thought this? By the way, Kenny Dillingham, I think, is right there in Coach of the Year now. I think it's probably Cignetti, Monken, and Dillingham now. With Cignetti probably the favorite, but Dillingham might be right close to him now. This is quite a job there. The job he's done with Sam Levitt at quarterback. Listen, Dillingham, when he's up at Oregon, he turned Bo Nix's career around after Gus Malzahn almost ruined it. But he's a quarterback whisperer, and what he's done here at Arizona State is really something this year. And Scadaboo, the running back, should be back in New York for the Heisman. As one of the guys, he's not going to win, but I think he's probably number 3. That's what I would think behind Travis Hunter and Genty. Really fun running back to watch. I am reluctant, though, to go against Iowa State because they're so steady here. And Matt Campbell, functional quarterback back to second year as a starter. That defense is really rock-ribbed. That's what I think is going to make the difference here. So I'm going to lean to Iowa State a little bit, though I love the Dillingham storyline at Arizona State. By the way, I'm not sure anybody's going to pull him out of there. He's from Valley of the Sun. He's an Arizona State alum. So I think he's going to stay, and that was a great hire by Arizona State. But tomorrow, I think Iowa State gets him and gets in. They'd probably be the 12 seed if they get in. But that's a team with that defense I don't think anybody would want to face in the playoff, but that might happen.
SEC championship game, Texas and Georgia. Longhorns now up to 3. Now here at our local shop at the DraftKings Sportsbook at the Queen Casino.
I ain't getting this line. This game is right in Georgia's backyard. They're not like they haven't played in Atlanta like all the time. So I'm a little perplexed by that. We talked about this. Jimmy, Charlie, you guys mentioned this back in the summer. This schedule for Texas, and I don't care, whatever Greg Sankey says, I don't know, was it a computer that spit this out, just randomly, it picked it out? I don't care what they say. If that's the case, then go back in there and redo it again, because there's no way Texas should have gotten that break with a schedule like this. No way at all. You can't have had a schedule break in the SEC easier than what Texas had this year, and it's too darn. This is Patrick Ewing getting the first draft, the Knicks getting the first pick when Patrick Ewing came out in '85. This is suspicious like that to me. But it sure looks like they stacked the deck in Texas's favor. And down the stretch here, I have not been that impressed. Listen, Texas A&M, some bonehead play calling last week. They could have got back in that game and had a chance to win last week. Texas did not look great at Arkansas a couple weeks ago. They did not look great against Kentucky. Listen, Georgia went in there midseason, handled Texas. Texas only had 29 yards rushing in that game. Now, Georgia jumped on them quick, but They were the better team that night. And I think Georgia will come out tomorrow and do it again. I know they got scared last week. Georgia Tech can do that to you, but darn it, Georgia came back and won. And Kirby's won these games before. I'm taking Georgia. They're going to win this thing outright, I think.
All right, so Dogs plus the 3. And in Penn State, Oregon, big game, James. Huh? Catching 3.5 against Oregon. Really, tickets for $10? $10?
Yeah, nobody's traveling.
Because they're both in. Yeah. So there you go. All right, we'll see after. We'll see if they tweak this whole thing with the certainly got to tweak the seeding process. There's no doubt about that. Come on, I mean, Boise State's going to be a 4 seed. I mean, kiss my grits. I mean, please, Oregon 3.5 here, Brucey.
Yeah, let's go, guys. I mean, we can get tickets really cheap. Let's go. By the way, Indianapolis is it's a great town to visit. It really is. The downtown is really neat there. I think it's the most underrated NFL city to visit, and great for these the Big Ten title games. Super place to go, really. Here's my thought on Penn State, and I thought this when I saw them in person against SC and some other times this year. I know they upgraded from last year on offense. I know Kotelnicki came in there a lot more progressive. Last year, Allard, it was too stodgy. He rarely threw the ball downfield. And this year, they really opened it up, a lot more creative stuff. We saw Aller look a lot better. A lot of it was, the Kotelnicki influence there. My thought, though, is all year I thought just a little bit too cutesy for Penn State, and that they probably could have made better use of Allen and Singleton throughout the year, the running backs, than they did, although, they have. I mean, listen, Tyler Warren is this year's Brock Bowers. I mean, he's in that Brock Bowers, Gronk category, I think, tight ends who can dominate. So, I mean, they really uncovered him this year. But they're just a little too cutesy for me. And I think that sort of hurt them in the Ohio State game right down near the end. They just couldn't jam it in when they had a chance to force overtime in that game. Maybe I'm overrating Oregon a bit, thinking they can just flip the switch whenever they want. But I still get that feeling with these guys that when they want to, hit the afterburner, they can do it. They did that against Ohio State. They scored when they had to win that game. But Gabriel can put up even probably better numbers than he did this year. That this team still got something in reserve that we might see tomorrow. I'm leaning to the Ducks and big game James. I mean, we've seen them lose a lot of these big games before, and I think we see it again tomorrow.
All right, Bruce, tell them where to find all your stuff these days with what you're doing.
Thanks, Jimmy. Check me out online. Picks, having a great college football season. NFL's good. Hoops, hockey, the whole thing. Picks, VegasInsider.com. Also up there at CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com. And my new places, Picks with a different twist, WinnersAndWhiners.com and PicksAndParlays.com.
Thank you, Bruce. Good luck to you this weekend.
Have a good weekend, boys.
Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. Service today, every day means same-day service. You'll never sleep hot, huh? Never sleep cold either. Get those heaters checked right now. And so when you work, when you turn them on for the first time, maybe during the cooler months, it doesn't smell right, man. It's a safety hazard. Got to get them checked, man. So the one-time heating check, normally $179, is just $79. Just call my friends over at Total Maintenance, 480-1000. 480-1000. And now is the time you're not thinking about it. I understand, but now is the time before we get backed up and everybody's calling when the AC unit's breaking down, when it gets warmer and things like that. Now's the time to try and get them do the cleaning check so that when it does get warmer and you are using your unit more, you're running it at not running it as much, allowing that unit to be operating at its most optimum level, extending the lifetime of your warranty, lower monthly bills, and also extend the lifetime of your unit. Nobody likes to pay to replace an AC and heating unit. Total Maintenance, again, Total Maintenance can do it with your membership program, cover all services with discounts and extended warranties as well. Total Maintenance, 480-1000, 480-1000.
Live at Rufino's Log of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Thibodeau's store, getting you ready for the holidays. Dad, brothers, sons are hard to buy for. Check them out if they're chefs. The McWare and Lodge Cookware, Cajun cooking, specialty cookware shipped right to your door when you go to ThibodeauStore.com. Tool and garden supplies for all of the home experts. And you want to just kind of kick back, relax. There's some beautiful cypress furniture, some swings, some rockers, gliders, unique things that they are making specially for you at the Thibodeau store. Go to the website all month long, online only specials on things like folding tables or saw horses, outdoor power equipment, tool storage, outdoor heaters, and lots of power and hand tools available. Go to the store at 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. But if you shop at ThibodeauStore.com, delivery is included. So if you're shopping for big green egg cookers and lots of grills as well, all of this available at the website at ThibodeauStore.com. So do your shopping with the home improvement experts, Pierre Port Store, and the Thibodaux Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux.
Charles Hannegrift's 5-Pack of Picks. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Make sure you use Louisiana rice, grown by Louisiana farmers since 1936. Available at most local grocery stores. Supreme Rice.
What we have here is a race for our on-show picks that is even Steven.
3-2 last week for you.
3-2 last week
well,
for you.
I'm glad you can. I'm glad you could come on in the club.
Took you all season to catch me after
the little velvet rope thing.
Yeah.
In Charlie. Well, I was in South Beach. This was the night before the Super Bowl one year. It was before the Broncos-Falcons Super Bowl.
About 98.
Yeah, we're in South Beach at a place. Man, this cool club downstairs, whatever, kind of a sort of a boutique hotel club base. It was cool. But literally, this side of the velvet rope, 2 feet over, that's $250.
Yeah.
2 feet over. 2 feet over. So, Charlie, I'm glad, guess who's 2 feet on that side of the bar?
You going to give Max all that grief?
I'm just saying.
He's still a defending champion.
Is Max in the shot?
He's not.
We're
in
on
the shot.
YouTube. What is this? YouTube?
YouTube,
Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah,
is Max in the shot?
No, he's not. He's not.
Max, when you improve your handicap and you come on this side of the shot.
Fair enough.
He's going to make
he won last year.
Yeah, he's going to make you kiss the ring from last year. Oh, man. All right, let's start tonight. Jeff Monken, Bruce was just talking about him as getting votes for National Coach of the Year, and I think that's right.
He ain't going to get it.
No, he's not going to win it, but he'll get some votes. One time in Monken's 11 years at Army have they been shut out. Once. That was last year. Guess who they were playing?
Summerall.
Troy.
Oh, no, that was Willie. Oh, no, Troy. No, Summerall.
Yeah, John Summerall at Troy and Greg Gasparotto, who's his defensive coordinator. So they shut out Army last year. They shut out Navy 3 weeks ago. They held them to 113 yards. Now, full disclosure, Blake Horvath got knocked out early in that game. But still, they've had great success against the service academies. Tulane's 3 toughest games, Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Memphis, all of them close. Army's best opponent was Notre Dame. They were routed. I like the Green Wave tonight. You told me this line has ticked down a half a point. I was expecting to lay 5, but I'll lay the 4.5 with Tulane tonight. I take Iowa State plus what is now 1 against
hold on,
Arizona.
Before you get it, Summerall has gone against the option last 3 years. 2022 Army, 2023 Army, 2024 Navy, combined 9 points.
Yeah, they've got it wired.
Now listen, Horvath getting knocked out, or that was a little bit of an asterisk.
Sure.
Okay, if Horvath is healthy for that game, they're not going to shut him out. But they were holding him when he was in there early. So,
all right, we're taking Iowa State plus 1. This is all about Jordan Tyson's injury. ASU's leading receiver, and by a lot. Iowa State's already the number 1 pass defense in the Big 12, so this puts a lot of pressure, I think, on Sam Levitt and Cam Scatteraboo who figures to be run into some stacked fronts. And if Iowa State doesn't have anybody besides Tyson who can get some separation, puts a lot of pressure on those two. Straight up, these teams are pretty equal, slight stat advantage to Iowa State, but not much. I'm getting a point, and I got I think a coaching advantage here. I love Kenny Dillingham. I love the job that he's done. But this is his first time in a game like this. Matt Campbell's been in the title game before. He's coaching the Fiesta Bowl. Experience edge here, and I'm getting a point. I'll take Iowa State. If Tyson were playing, I'd take Arizona State. But I will take Iowa State here plus the point. Georgia +3 against Texas. Georgia's strength of schedule is 3rd. Texas is 32. I don't think we've got to recap that. We've certainly done plenty of this. This isn't Georgia's best team, but Kirby Smart knows how to coach in these games. He's done it a ton. And when Georgia went down to Austin, they held Texas to a yard a carry. A yard a carry. I think that puts a ton of pressure on whether it's Ewers or if we do see a little bit of Arch Manning tomorrow. Give me the Dogs with the points in their backyard. And I'm sorry, they were the better team the last time. And I don't know if Texas is better or not. I haven't seen them play anybody that was really, really, really good except for Georgia. And they lost. And in fact, they got dominated in that game. I take Oregon State, Oregon minus a 3.5 against Penn State. What happens when James Franklin plays top 10 teams? Well, usually they lose. Penn State is 3-17 under Franklin against top 10 teams. He has covered in 7 of those games, but I'm going to follow this trend until Franklin bounces me off of it. James Franklin as a favorite, 50-38-4. As a dog, 12-13. Overall in his tenure at Penn State. I just think Oregon is better. I think they're a little bit more battle-tested. I think they're a little bit better here. And Franklin in the big games has not been good, so we'll take the Ducks minus the 3.5. And Clemson plus 2.5 against SMU. Strength of schedule here, again, Clemson 53 to SMU 73. Clemson lost to Georgia and South Carolina, but how much better was Clemson at the end of the year than they were at the beginning of the season? Best teams SMU has beaten all year, Louisville and Duke, and they should have lost to Duke. They turned the ball over 6 times. Pass defense for SMU, middle of the pack in the ACC. The top rushing offense is at Clemson. Top rushing defense is SMU. I think that number's a little bit skewed because SMU played from ahead most of the season. And we're going to go to coaching experience again. This is Dabo Swinney's 10th ACC championship game. He's 8-1 in the previous 9. Played in 4 national title games. He knows about this kind of pressure. Rhett Lashley's done a terrific job at SMU. 22-4 the last 2 years, but this is the first time that he's been in a game this big. Last year they were playing in the Fenway Bowl. Jimmy, I think there's a little bit more pressure here with your playoff life on the line. Give me Clemson, who I think is the better team, got the better coach, and they will get 2.5 points on top of all that.
It was SMU's best win?
Duke and Louisville.
And who's Clemson's best wins?
Duke and Louisville.
No, not that good. Virginia Tech?
Pitt? Yeah, and Virginia Tech. I think they played South Carolina straight up last week, though. They didn't win, but I think they played them straight up. It was at Clemson.
They're at home?
Yeah, it was at Clemson.
They're at home this week?
They're not. They're closer to SMU. Yeah, it was a rivalry game.
This one's not, huh?
It's not. I think Clemson's better. I love SMU. I've had SMU. I've cashed plenty tickets on SMU this year.
If you can match their intensity and their performance last week, they would win. I think that's hard to do. So I'm just saying that. Hey, guess it's not going to always fall like this, but this just sucks. I mean, the 3 best teams and your 3/4 conference team. Because they play, or two-thirds, 6 of the 9. They play 8 or 9 in ACC. 9, right? Conference games.
They play 9. They play 9.
Okay, well, 6 of 9 is 2/3. Notre Dame,
right.
Notre Dame, Miami, Clemson, SMU.
Yeah.
Best teams in the league, right?
Yes.
Not one game between them.
I know.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Clemson also gets a little bit of an emotion. I mean, this is a lifeline that they got thrown by Syracuse.
Yes.
Not supposed to be in this game.
Lifeline, nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Okay. No pressure, and a guy that's been there before, and he's laughing. You know, hey, yeah, let's play South Carolina, but you know he's laughing. So no, they're playing with no pressure, a little bit of pressure, but you know, I mean, I don't. SMU's at least beaten better teams than Clemson has
by a little bit,
Louisville ain't better than Pitt.
At the end of the year, they were. At the beginning of the year, I don't know when Holstein was healthy. I don't know if there was very much difference between those teams. When Holstein got hurt,
played in that game.
But he was playing hurt the second half of the year, and he missed at least one game. How about the losses? They lost to BYU, who's good. They lost.
That's
Clemson. Clemson lost to Georgia and South Carolina.
You said it. That's when Clemson played Pitt against a banged up Holstein. That's their best win, Charlie.
Yeah.
They beat crap.
They got better losses. You pick who you want. I won't pick who I want. I'm taking Clemson. Dabba-dabba-doo.
Emotionally spent? No, I don't. Look, it's a tough game for me. I mean, because I want to paint both sides, okay? And this Clemson, just the best wins for the Clemson could get in, and this would be their best win. They're going to be at least six, maybe seven. That the best wins are garbage.
Yeah,
I mean, really, that's your best win. So who are your other 8 or 9 wins? It's horrible.
You've sold me on the emotional letdown years ago, okay? It's a tried and true angle. We've cashed in plenty of tickets. I'm going to take it a little bit less here because if you can't get the emotions up to playing a conference championship game that puts you in the first ever 12 team
This reduces that angle, Charlie, because that's usually against a team that's your 3-touchdown favorite. You know,
if you're in the middle of the season and you're playing Ohio State and you're coming down to play somebody else. Come on.
Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank. You know, running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you're a partner. Contact Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Prentice Wilkes, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry. Discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Jimmy's Picks when we come back live at lunch. Log of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy Ott's 5-pack of picks, brought to you by Supreme Rice. Make sure you use Louisiana rice, grown by Louisiana farmers since 1936. Available at most local grocery stores. Supreme Rice.
Painting that other side, Charlie, for SMU. Trying to, just look at all angles for the thing. Huh?
Yeah.
That one of my 5. All right. Let's move
They're
on.
available,
Iowa State +1. No, the wide receiver. It's hard to find drop-offs like this from your number one to your secondary guys. And, hey, load the box. I mean, you cannot let Scatterboo just run between the tackles and get you. You have no fear of them burning you on the outside now with Tyson out. Iowa State +1. And they're at a program, and as a coach, it's been here a little bit more. Not a ton. But remember the COVID year, they were, 1 point away from beating Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game? Pretty good Oklahoma team as well. Big game James here. Well, the ticket costs, secondary market kind of gives you an indication how excited these teams are to be playing. What is the fall-off? Both are in the playoff. Oh, seeding. Okay. This is just what the doctor ordered for not-so-big game James. I mean, not big game, something to put in your resume, something. But really, what are the consequences of losing? Not as much, not nearly as much. This line's a little stinky as well. Come on, odds makers. You could have put this thing at 6, maybe even 6.5 in Drew Oregon action. You want some action when you put that 3.5. I mean, Nittany Lions +3.5. Miami was the 6.5-point dog last year to Toledo and won the MAC championship. Had that one. It was right up against that Big 12 championship where at Oklahoma State. They didn't fare so well against Texas. Miami, Ohio is the superior team this year. Ohio U, not used to being in this spot as well. Back-to-back conference championships for Miami -2. And Boise State -4.5. Flipping here, Boise's delete. Come on. Yes, he's been fatigued a little bit. He might be wearing down. But come on, man. On the Smurf turf, UNLV is going to go there and beat Boise. And Boise's head, I mean, there's a program. They expect to be here a little bit more. Give me Boise -4.5. And recency bias. Man, Tulane look bad. Lost by double digits at home when they were still in reach for the playoff. Nah, that was way heavy is the crown, huh? Charlie, when you hold it, the crown is done. You tried it on for a second. It was too heavy. It was like, I won't even say the crew of Tux trying to slip in as King Rex. No. Tulane back where they're comfortable. Not as much at stake. Hullabaloo. Give me the Wave -4.5 tonight. And frigid West Point. So, and speaking of Texas and Georgia, I'll say this. The math tells you that the rematch that more times than not, the team that won the first time usually wins again. Well, that's because they're the better team. But when the teams are equal? When was there an upset in the first time? When were the teams, was Alabama and LSU equal the first time? You betcha. They had what about the coaching staffs with extra time to prepare? That was a mismatch in 2011 down in the Dome, or January of 2012. And you know what another one, too, is? Did you see the celebration with Texas making the SEC championship game? Did you hear the coach? How excited are they to get there? Kirby's done this, right?
Quite a few times.
They've lost this game and still won the national championship.
One time.
Do they talk about? I've been to that campus. They love to remind you about their back-to-back national championship games. This one means way more to Texas. The line, I can't lay 3 in Georgia's backyard, but just keep in mind, they care a lot more. Georgia's already whipped them, right? What does Georgia have to prove? I don't want to, I am lead dog. I have passed up Charlie's distaste for the Crimson Tide, for my distaste more for the league that they contributed on this, like Bruce said. Kind of preaching to the choir, Brucey, but they just want to. They run ramp shot through the league, Charlie, in year one. They run ramp shot through it.
They're fantastic.
How about that?
The fall is further for Georgia here because if they lose, they're going to have to go on the road in the first round, at least in that Big Ten championship game. The loser is going to get a home game the next week. Georgia would have to go on with 3 losses in the playoff. Would have to go on the road. So this is from a bye to a road
seeding.
Game.
Yeah,
I mean that's pretty. Real quick on the Miami and Ohio game. I think I know what you're going to tell me here. It was a 30-20 game, but Ohio got a lot of those points.
Yes,
yards late.
Yes.
Okay.
30-6 late. Yeah.
Yeah, they got 2 touchdowns in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter. It was the issue had been decided.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, don't forget, over here at Ruffino's, it's all decked out. You get the ladies, the necklaces with the bells on it in the spirit of the holiday season. Get your picture taken over at the tree over here at Ruffino's on Highland Road, just off of I-10 rather. You downtown, hey, we were at Jolie Pearl yesterday. It's decked out. You downtown, go get you get a little photo op, get you the Christmas the Christmas holiday drink menu and get you one of those and go check them out downtown. So downtown it is blasted, man, with great decorations inside. It's a great place to be this holiday season. Jolie Pearl, downtown facing Town Square.
Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, Max, 32-37-1. Repeating is looking bleak at this point, but go ahead.
Well, I'm going to start off today. Jacksonville State laying 4 at 6 o'clock today against Western Kentucky in the Conference USA title game. Tyler Huff is definitely questionable with that ankle injury. That's Jacksonville State's big mobile quarterback. That's important for them because they want to run the ball. But last week they went super conservative as soon as he went out. Jacksonville State had already clinched this game. They knew they were going to play in this game. They get them at home this week against Western Kentucky. To me, I just feel like, going back-to-back weeks, I think this favors Jacksonville State, where they could be really vanilla last week. They still rushed for 229 yards last week against a Western Kentucky defense that's not very good against the run. That's a good matchup for them. Whether Huff goes or not, they probably know at this point, so they would have a game plan for Logan Smothers, who has played a little bit. I'll lay the 4 with Jacksonville State in the Conference USA title game. Iowa State +1. This will make a trio of picks. We're all on this one. I should be picking Arizona State because I need to come back, but this just seems like too much to ask for Arizona State. 10-2, one of the best teams against the number this year, but we've mentioned the loss of Jordan Tyson, 1,100 receiving yards this year. The next best receiver for them has 17 catches for a wide receiver. So they use Scattaboo in the passing game, but they're going to stack the box, Iowa State. They're not a very good run defense team, but I think this is a good matchup for them, and Iowa State has won 4 of 5 now as an underdog. So they've been a pretty good dog under Campbell as of late. Georgia +3 against Texas. I thought this number might get to 3, but I thought it would get bet pretty instantly and go back to 2.5. It's stuck at 3, which is a little bit concerning to me. But look, Carson Beck's cleaned it up a little bit. I was very critical of him. Turnover-worthy plays were a problem for him. But he's now got 11 touchdowns, so no interceptions in the last 3 games. Sure, one of those games was against UMass, but he's protecting the football a little bit, so I trust him a little bit more. And we saw the first meeting. I think it does matter at some instance. Texas hasn't played the dogs that Georgia has, albeit they're not quite what they have been. But this is a gritty team. They fight Georgia at the very least. I don't think it's the most talented team by any means that Georgia's had, but they're going to give their effort. I think catching 3 in Atlanta, I think that's a good bet here. Penn State, Oregon, under 50. One of the things that's been mentioned is James Franklin in big games really struggling. I get that. But one of the things that we've also seen over the last 2 years is in big games, it's low scoring. They tend to slow the football down. They don't really trust Drew Aller very much. I think we're going to see much the same here. Oregon, it's not a big deal if they lose this game. The 5 seed, as y'all mentioned, is not the worst position to be in the playoff. But they are very good defensively. To me, both these teams have the advantage on defense. Dylan Gabriel not averaging much yards per attempt. I think it's like 7. They dink and dunk it very much like they did with Bo Nix last year. And finally, my lock of the week, ULL -5.5.
So, Max, it's under Penn State, Oregon?
Under 50. I think both defense has the advantage there. ULL laying 5.5 in the Sun Belt title game. Marshall is the best team against the number at 10-1-1. But they've got quite a distraction this week. Their head coach has done a really good job there, Charles Huff, but hasn't signed the extension, looking to maybe go to Southern Miss. That's been the rumor there. So that's been a part of this. Just sign this guy. I don't know what they're doing here, but it's been a bit of a talking point this week. And ULL changing the quarterbacks from Ben Wooldridge to Chandler Fields, to me, not a factor at all. Chandler Fields is a pretty good quarterback. It's one of the reasons I played against ULL a good bit. I didn't think Wooldridge was even that good. Fields has been there since 2019. How about that? A quarterback staying in the same spot for that long. He's undersized, but he's still very talented. I'll lay the points with the Raging Cajuns. Hell, I'll even call them Louisiana because I desperately need a win. So if they want to be called Louisiana UL, I'll go by it. Cajuns -5.5.
I mean, Marshall coach using Southern Miss for leverage is like the LSU coach using Arkansas for leverage.
Worked. Made us work an extra hour. Let me tell you something about Kirk Cousins, okay? He struggles in big games. James Franklin doesn't struggle in big games. He sucks in big games.
Is this a big game?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, the loser gets a playoff.
Winner gets a bye.
There you go.
All right.
Seeding.
Thanks to the folks here at Phoenix. We will be at the Beau Rivage on Sunday for Football Sunday starting at 10 a.m. and for Monday's show. Enjoy your championship weekend. For Max, for Jimmy, for Jordan back in the studio. I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.